What's up, guys? It's Chris. Welcome to VHP Engines. So, this is something I guess I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I just hadn't gotten to it, but I'm going to talk about a little bit of misconception on turbo lag. Now, this isn't like a genius technical fucking expose here. I'm just going to talk about some shit like I would talk to one of my buddies that don't know better, right? There's a lot of, I don't think a lot, but there's some people out here who have some misconceptions on what turbo lag is and, and big turbos and what happens there. And believe it or not, guys, I was working with a diesel guy. Oh, of course I was working with a diesel guy. I was working at the Kenworth dealership a couple of years back. And one of the senior techs there built an RX-7 that was making like 400 some horsepower. And the turbo that he used was like similar to what the Boosted Boy guys are using right now, an enormous turbo. And I was just back and forth with him like, hey, bro, like, what's your end game goal? Like, how much power are you trying to make? Yeah, 450, 500. And he showed me the turbo. I'm like, that's too big. And like, it's too big of a turbo that you're dealing with in that car, man. That's you're gonna deal with lag. And he's like, no. And he got so mad, and he got so upset about it that he started clowning on me hard as fuck, which was one of the few times I've been clowned on that it hurt my feelings. And not hurt my feelings because I was sad about what he was saying, because I agree with what he said. It hurt my feelings because I really respected the guy, and he thought I was a fucking idiot. He thought I was an idiot. He's like, oh, fuck you. He didn't say fuck you. He was very sarcastic and, in a very demeaning way. He's like, oh, what do you know about anything about building cars? Because your car is worth $500. My car is worth this. I'm like, yeah, I agree with it. Yeah, my car's $500, but it'll still whoop your car's ass. Like the chassis. And he goes, and if my car fucks up, bro, it's not a big deal. I go get another $200 car tomorrow. Not a big deal. But, he's like, whoa, when I put that shit in first gear, it fucking rips and it goes. I'm like, yeah, but that's not where you're going to have to deal with the lag. You have to deal with the lag on your responsiveness when you're already driving. Like, just stomp on the gas and see how long it takes to spool up. Or downshift from fifth to third and, again, see how long it takes to spool that big-ass turbo up. That's where you deal with the lag. So, now, the first thing to address is that people think, oh, I don't want to deal with turbo because I don't want to make the power up top. All right? So then there's two things to play with, right? If you want to have a super snappy response turbo, you go with a smaller one, right? There's a reason why a lot of turbos from the factory, factory turbo cars are only about like yay big, because it gives you super responsiveness. A quick response in the spool up, because you spool up like 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs and you're already at full boost. All right, so that's great. But then, I like to keep the balance. It's not so much going for a big turbo or going for a little turbo. It's like, hey, pick my horsepower range. What size turbo do I need at minimum to make that power? So that way I still get a decent response time, and still make the power I want. So when I was talking to a guy that most recently when I was like, I really need to make this video. He was like, yeah, bro, I just rather stay in A because I don't want to wait for the top end for my power to kick in. You got to understand, it's a power adder immediately. Boost is... you're adding power immediately, but it's not like VTEC where you're just like it's not like that. You're gonna have power right away. So it's like if you're like he said, like the guy I work with said, first gear, second gear, if I'm just going, bro, it fucking hauls ass. Yes, it will. So that's not where you have to, you're not, if you're thinking you're gonna go turbo and you're gonna be slow, you're not. When I got my retune done, when I got back to Florida, it had been almost a year since I had been at full power. So I was surprised again because I was way underpowered and didn't realize it had been driving like that for a while. So just in the street to go around traffic, getting to the on-ramp on Oakland Park, I fucking punched it and it rips. It rips, bro. It's a GT35. This is a decent sized turbo. So I'm like, man, dude, this shit is fucking quick as fuck. So if you're thinking you're going to put a big turbo and make 500 horsepower, but it's not going to really be responsive, you're wrong. That is not the case. That is not where the lag affects you. And I guess that's really it. That's all I can talk about, all I say about that. If you get too big of a turbo for power, like if you get a 600-700 horsepower turbo and you're putting it on a 400 horsepower car, then you are wasting, because that size of turbo, to get the full boost, you need to be up there. And that's just, so you want to be able to take advantage of a smaller turbo that'll spool up faster, because you don't need all that extra boost, because you're not going to go that high in power. Now, if you need a bigger turbo, if you're going to make bigger power, then you need a bigger turbo. And then, so, there's that. But don't think that just because you're going to go boost that you're not going to have a snappy, responsive car, because I guarantee you will. As a matter of fact, I'll leave at the end of this video a tag of my ride along with Blake I built that engine, right? You know, and it was making 450 at the time. And I had been gone up in West Virginia, and it was literally the first day I came back in town. He's like, let's go for a ride. And I had never ridden in the car because he got it tuned while I was gone. I was like, okay. And I hadn't been in a 400 horsepower Honda in a while, a long while. And it scared the shit out of me. It doesn't look fast in the video, but it is fucking fast. It is not often that I'm impressed by power levels. Like I drove in my homeboy's modded Audi S4. It was, you know, he'd have me drive it. It's supercharged. I think they make mid 300s or something around that. And he said he had a tune on there or whatnot, make a little bit more. But now when I drove it, I was happy. I was like, oh yeah, this made me smile. I was like, fuck yeah, bro, this is good. This is very good, usable power. I like this, but it wasn't crazy. It was good power, but not crazy. Now, if you want to say that made me happy because it's very controllable, but definitely noticeably powerful, more powerful than your average car. So it was great. Now compare that reaction to Ford versus Ferrari when Carroll Shelby takes out the Deuce on his test drive, and then he's sitting there crying because he's like, I had no idea. Because it's one thing I say, you know, when you talk about quarter mile numbers, it's one thing to just throw them out there and like, oh yeah, it's fast, but you don't really know how fast that is until you experience it for yourself. These video reactions you see of people like, oh fuck, there is a whole nother world that opens up when you're in a fucking car that weighs 2,000 pounds and makes 400 fucking horsepower. That is a lot. We have gotten numb to these numbers because of the fact that we see so many super powered cars out there nowadays. But guys, if you've never been in a 400 horsepower Honda, that shit will fucking scare you. It'll wake you the fuck up. It'll make you grab hold of things. It'll freak you out. It'll make you find God. That is fast. So, yes, if you're thinking you're going to get a turbo car and you're avoiding, you would rather stay NA because, you know, even though you make a sacrifice in your power, you'll have a more responsive car. Not the case. It's just not the case. SRT4, for example, the stock turbo on it, light modifications, it was boosting a little bit more than normal. I thought it was a great car. It's one of my favorite. It's my favorite car to date that I've owned, and I've had faster cars. But it was really responsive. It felt really fast until I had a really fast car, and then so that turbo car, this small ass turbo, super responsive in a K20 swap in an EG hatch, fucking destroyed it. So there's checks and balances to everything. You can make a fast NA car and you can make a really fast turbo car. Turbo is just a little easier to make the power faster. There's more that goes into it on the NA side, although it's getting easier and easier to make power nowadays because of the development technology. But yeah, I'm sorry if I've got off topic a little bit there. Like I said, well, I don't know if I said it this time, but I'm really fucking tired. So that's it. I just wanted to get that out there, guys. You don't think that just because you have a turbo car that's not going to be responsive. You're not gonna have to deal with, like, turbo lag isn't something that happens immediately in a low gear. It's what happens when you're up top and trying to come back down quick. It takes a little bit more time to spool up. So that's it. I got two more things I want to talk about. Let's see if I can get them both out. I gotta get at least one more. All right, guys, social media links are in the description down below, as well as the website. Go to Patreon and sign up there. Enroll in Patreon for discounts. And peace, guys. Thanks for watching.